Hello, and welcome to the Still Chill podcast.
Welcome back, everyone.
Nice to have you, nice. A little bit of a disclaimer, the sound on this episode is a little bit funky, and we're not really sure why, but we did really enjoy listening back on this episode, and we thought that you would too. So we've left it unedited.
Yeah, sorry.
What's the word? Unfiltered.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, hopefully you like it.
We've been gone for like 4 months. A lot has changed globally, pandemically. That's a new word. And a lot has changed for us personally, as I'm sure it has for you as well.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to talk about, I think, what we've been experiencing as mental health practitioners in this time.
Yeah.
How things have changed, even just in the last year.
For sure.
And what some of our not even realizations, like we just basically wanted to have a good whinge.
Okay, Kylie Jenner. Realizations.
We wanted to have
a good whinge? No, we do.
So here we are. And we just think that hopefully it's going to resonate with you because we know so many people who are going through this at the moment.
Yeah.
And yeah.
How has it been for you, Rose?
So at the beginning of the pandemic,
I
had a lot of people reaching out to me, a lot of people who knew that this was going to be difficult.
Knew what was going to be difficult.
What was about to come.
Oh, right. You mean...
So in anticipation.
Yeah.
And already because some of the changes were happening and they just needed to feel, I guess, stable in processing what was going on.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I feel like so many people are reaching out to me and it's because so much has come up. Like, we didn't know what we were about to enter. There was a lot of speculation and we've been through it and it's been long and it's been tedious and so much has happened.
Yeah.
And it's really coming to the surface now and I think we're really about to start to see the real impact.
It's like peak.
Peak.
Yeah, I think... Oh, I don't know.
No, it's not peak. It's not peak.
It's not peak. I don't think it's peak.
It's the beginning.
It's the beginning of the peak. Beginning of peak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're laughing, but it's a crisis.
No, it's a crisis. I'm laughing because it's honestly nervous after. Yeah.
What have you experienced
interesting.
in your job? Actually, why don't you talk about what your job actually is?
Yeah, because ours are completely... they are
completely different.
So we work in the same field, but I work for the NHS, so it's public health, and I am an emotional health worker, basically, for children and teenagers. So I work for CAMS. That's just the kids and adolescents service, for anyone who doesn't know. And... yeah, we've just had more kids coming to us than ever before. And I'm new in this job. So I didn't really know what it was like before it was like this.
Yeah.
But I can definitely say that it's hectic. So what we offer is low intensity interventions that are virtual at the moment. Well, I say at the moment, but they're going to be virtual for the upcoming year.
Right.
We think. Nothing's really been said. So there's a lot of uncertainty. It is... like Zoom, I mean, we use WebEx, and yeah, it's just there are a lot of children who have very complex needs, and I say a lot, I'm going to say most, because no matter what's happened, the pandemic is going to make things complex, right? So it's just been a pretty overwhelming time for our service, I think, and they're managing, and shout out my colleagues because they're amazing. But it's really trying to make sure that they get the help as soon as they can.
Yeah.
That's the other side, is waiting lists.
Yeah. So say like in an ideal situation, right, a parent is noticing that their child is showing symptoms of mental health decline, or the school is noticing, or their social worker or whatever, the GP, and they refer this child to your service. Ideally, how would this go down, and how does it actually go down? Like, what are some of the barriers that you're finding?
Ideally, they would be able to go to the GP and then go and have one-to-one help straight off the bat.
Yeah.
I think that would be ideal for anyone. For us as a service, in comparison to other services, they get seen the quickest. But even then, it's still a waiting list.
Well, I know the adult services at the moment here in my area is around 18 months.
Yeah. It's
wild.
It's wild out here.
To expect people to actually wait when they're going through something.
And then the other side is like, usually those waiting lists are even for like assessment, you know, or having like that initial session, and these things take time. You're not going to feel better even after 2 or 3 sessions. You have to see somebody consistently, and even the sessions that we do, they're group sessions, so you're not getting one-to-one help. Like I said, it's low intensity, so it's really difficult to place the kids in the right place and offer them the help that they actually need. And in terms of the staff, it's no one's fault.
Yeah.
They're working really hard. It's just the way that it's set up, that's the issue. And
the way it's funded.
I mean, I say, the way that it's funded. And the thing is, like, it's like I want to say, oh, we weren't prepared for this, so it's whatever. When actually we had all the time to prepare. Yeah. And I say we, I mean the big mans, the big people upstairs. It's a crisis. Like we're in a pandemic. The first thing that people need to think of is mental health. Really, obviously physical. Okay. But
I've just got this, like, in my mind, the way it seems is in the last, let's say, 10 years, mental health has really been at the forefront of what people talk about. Like, it's actually been destigmatized to some extent. Right? But I just don't think that that's reflected in politics and policies and the rest of it at all. And that is impacting every single person, pretty much. Yeah. Massively.
Especially because it's there. So it's like, why should people have to pay? We have the NHS. You should just be able to go and get the right help. And it just ends up becoming so tedious for the people who are waiting. And that's why so many people end up opting into other wellness services and things that they pay for, and holistic healing and all this kind of stuff that's being marketed to them. Yeah. And then they end up investing so much time, so much money, and it isn't effective because it's not.
Well, there's so much nuance in this because, as you were saying, within your service, you're overwhelmed. You've had the most kids you've ever had, or whatever, and they're all having the same intervention, so it's very much one size fits all. And I know it's exactly the same for the adult services. I know there are some pockets in the UK which are very reactive with the research, and they implement like a lot of mindfulness within the NHS. I know Sussex is one of those places. And London, obviously, but that is not true for the rest of the UK, and it's not right to expect everyone to get well with CBT.
Yeah, because that is literally the only thing that's being offered.
Yeah. After waiting 18 months.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why people then go into these holistic healing spaces, because they've tried, or they've even paid money for a traditional therapist. They didn't need talking. Yeah. They needed, something else. So then they go towards the holistic space, and then a lot of them get scammed. Yeah. There. That's
Which
one
is
thing.
Just so heartbreaking.
That's one thing because it's unregulated, right? Yeah. And then the other thing is that it's so expensive. Like, I'm expensive. Yeah. I know I am. Well, I'm like,
I wouldn't say that you're expensive. I think in comparison to other.
No, I'm level.
Yeah, you're level, but to the average person, yes, it would be an investment. An investment, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I would be able to afford you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, fair. Definitely. And you're the best out there.
And actually, thank you. And that financial barrier actually goes so deep.
Yeah, because when you're already feeling low and you're feeling worthless, why would you think that you deserve to have this kind of help and spend all of your hard-earned money on this kind of help? That's the difficulty. And I just think it's asking
It shouldn't even cost anything.
It shouldn't even cost anything. But I now have a personal counsellor, like you know.
Yeah.
And you saw how much I was umming and ahhing about even spending that money because I was like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I need to save.
And I was like, don't be stupid.
And you're like, don't be an idiot. It's your mental health. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what am I doing?
Only because you have that money spare. There are a lot of people who actually don't have that money.
But like, imagine, that's my point though. I have that money spare and I'm still not willing to spend it to get help.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine what it would be like if you are really struggling financially and you don't want to spend the money. No one should have to.
Yeah, and this is like such a dilemma in my personal work and when I was doing my studying. This is something I bring up all the time.
Free sessions.
I do give out free sessions. People do sponsor them, but I do give out free sessions. But also, I remember just always talking to my teachers and being like, I don't feel like I should be charging for this. I feel like everyone should just know this, you know?
It's like you want to just pass on the knowledge.
Yeah, but I also want to live.
Yeah.
I want to live my life.
Yeah. You got to pay your bills, babe.
That, and I'm still working through that.
Yeah.
Like, actually charging what I think I'm worth and being okay with that. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to find the compromise. But I definitely think it should be free. I definitely think that the government should just pay me.
Yeah, of course.
What I deserve. And every other healer and every other therapist.
And every other
healthcare
healthcare professional.
Yes. Yeah. Like, pay me what you pay yourself.
Yeah.
And everyone should get free access.
Yes.
Adequate, effective access. Mm-hmm. You have loads of modalities you can choose from. What works for you?
Or here's a week to try all of these things out.
Oh,
imagine.
Right?
I just don't I see how that couldn't work.
Yeah.
How, like, imagine you're like, right, I feel like shit. I'm going to go to my GP. You go to your GP. You explain, you articulate. They're like, right, we're going to set you up on this thing. Mm-hmm. You go away for... you don't even have to go away.
No.
Because if they're like,
it comes
I need to work. No, it doesn't come to you. You do have to go. But it's not away.
Yeah.
You just have a taster of art therapy, music therapy, talking therapy, even like physical stuff. I know that there's loads of stuff out there. Mm-hmm, do you know what I mean?
And
we
regulate
just love creative stuff, but I definitely believe that creative therapy helps. So that would be sick. Doing that for a week.
Yeah.
And then being like, oh yeah, I like this one. You enroll. And then you go from there.
Yeah.
And then if it really works for you, then you can get signposted to other similar things, or there's going to be even more specific ones if you want to carry on, you know? And I just don't think that's a big ask of the public. I think, if anything, they would probably be cutting costs. You know, if they found...
Yeah.
I have so many ideas.
I'm so on board with that. Let's do it.
You know what I mean, though?
No,
and
I
then
do.
If you're like,
why
okay,
can't it be?
And then let's say you're like, okay, I love talking therapy. I'm gonna have talking therapy, and they're like, okay, well, do you know which kind of therapist you would like? And then you can specify.
Yeah.
Like, and then you get matched up,
or they match you up. Yeah.
That'd be legitness.
Be really good. What were some of the struggles or some of the barriers that you found when you were looking for your therapist?
Oh, so I was completely lost, like, when I started looking, because, first of all, I studied psychology, and obviously because we're in this field, I literally thought I didn't need it. How funny is that?
No, I relate.
I literally think I know better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're not going to help me. It's not going to be helpful. But, you know, I was running into your room crying. So I was like, we were like, right, you need to find someone.
Yeah.
And actually, I was quite excited at this prospect. I was like, I want to do it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I decided that I wanted to do it, I was like, cool, where? Mm-hmm. Where do I find this person? How do I find this therapist? I thought I knew of all the services out there and what was available to me and what people can do for their mental health. And suddenly, when it came to me, I literally didn't know where to start. So I'm Googling, I'm doing everything, looking at everything, and I just felt completely overwhelmed. Like,
there's so much out there.
So much, and I was
and
quite
everyone's
particular.
selling you a dream.
Everyone is selling you a dream. Oh my God. And you know how particular I was. I wanted to make sure that I wanted to have a female. I wanted to make sure they were a person of colour because of the things that I wanted to discuss and feel comfortable enough to do that. So there was barely any out there, and the ones who were out there weren't available, and the ones that looked good were too expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just like an endless search for ages, and then a friend of mine recommended BetterHelp, which is an app or a website, and you can get counselling or therapy virtually, which I felt a bit weird about to begin with, but I was like, we'll give it a go. What I'm doing is virtual and it seems to be fine. And you go through all these questions, you can specify exactly what you want to work on, the kind of therapist you want to have, and then they match you up with someone. It takes like a day. They literally match me up in a day.
Amazing.
And I had my first session and I loved it, and yeah, she's a woman from the US. So it was amazing.
So
and
it
I did have to
for
pay. I did have to pay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a free service. But when you go through the questions at the beginning, they do ask you about your financial situation. So if you do have a low income, then they give you discounts, which is really good, I think.
So you found it difficult to get to this point because you were just so overwhelmed with the information, and you kind of felt like you knew better as well.
Yes.
But also you didn't know anything.
Exactly. And I didn't know who was selling me a dream and who was actually competent in what they were doing. And I just wasn't prepared to spend a lot of money and not get what I need from it.
Yeah.
I was just way too scared.
I think that's fair, though. I think that's valid.
Yeah.
To be honest.
But I think that was the most shocking thing for me, was the fact that I was struggling so much to find the right help. And for someone like me who thinks they know everything about this kind of stuff, really, it shouldn't be that hard. But that's, I think, where the problem is, because capitalism has made everything that competitive in every single industry that you can't even access the right help for your well-being.
Exactly.
Because people are competing against each other and trying to scam you. And that's the sad part, really, because obviously that's not just mental health, that's physical health too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a journey to find the right person for you. And not everyone, has the capacity. Like, some people really are just out here surviving. Some people can't afford that. Yeah. It really is expensive. It is. Even if it's just like books you're investing in. You know, people are like, oh, healing should be free. Healing is free. Like, you got to just do it yourself. You don't need money to heal. Yeah. People, I see that in the holistic space all the time. But actually, it's so much harder than that. Yeah. And there are so many limitations. And people, you know, I've been guilty of saying, you know, the limitations only exist within yourself. And that's true to some extent. Yeah. But you need security and stability in order to be in a right mindset to even consider transformation and change and it's like, how can you even
go into anything when you don't know whether you fully trust it? Yeah. When it comes to your healing work.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. People have had bad experiences. Yeah.
So, and I just feel like it's become such a mainstream thing, you know, oh, everyone needs therapy, everyone should be in therapy, oh, go get a therapist. Like, I see this online almost every single day.
Oh my, it's so glamorized, isn't it?
It's so glamorized, but it's also, I feel like, a really classist thing to say. Yeah. Because working class people can't, for the most part, can't afford this kind of help, and for you to just be like, well, you need to get a therapist and therapy. Have you ever tried it? But it's also
putting the blame back onto the individual, because really these are systemic issues that are feeding into these complex mental health issues that people are impacted by today. Yeah. Like, really, it's a bigger problem. And this mental health care system and the wellness industry and the rest of it are all under the same umbrella. Like, it's all intersectional. Yeah. And we're all suffering because of it. So boycott.
Isn't it though? Because it's like, it's not as if, oh, it just slipped the government's mind. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
How can we... It's mental health. If you think about a pandemic, any person with common sense would be like, right, two things: physical health, obviously, because it's a virus.
Yeah.
But mental health is gonna the issues that we're finding at my work is that none of this is directly related to the virus. Obviously, there are numerous cases where people have been dealing with grief and bereavement. But the main issue is what's happened as a result of the pandemic, whether it's
lockdown.
Yeah, lockdown, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's divorce, people moving between mum and dad's houses,
Mm-hmm.
school, exams.
Yeah.
The pressure on young people, I think, is being
We've not
really
even
underestimated.
begun. Yeah, exactly.
And it's really concerning because I feel like everyone has the right to be wrapped up in their own personal lives because this is affecting people so much.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that young people aren't being considered as much as they should be.
Yeah, and here's my concern, actually. Now that we're half pretending that everything is going back to normal and we're all out again, outside, people are just pushing through everything that came up for them in the lockdown periods. And I know that that's not necessarily healthy. So if you, during the lockdown period, had this realization, like, actually, these things don't really serve me, and you're finding yourself falling back into old patterns, back into old habits, just because you want to feel a sense of normality and stability, I just want to let you know that that's okay, but ultimately that you don't need to be doing that. You don't need to be doing that.
I think it's really important to find a balance.
No, I think it's okay if you've changed.
Yeah, of course people have changed.
Yeah,
people just
and
don't want to.
that.
Yeah, but I feel like it's really difficult for people to embrace at this time.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's fine, like you said, to try and find that sense of normality, but know when you're doing it. And know that things aren't necessarily the same, and I think it's radical acceptance that this is the way it is right now. Which I do know is really, it's like a hard pill to swallow.
I'm just really like, follow your intuition, go with your gut. Like, if you don't want to go to the pub for the third time this week, don't. If it's overwhelming you,
people are spending like crazy.
Very expensive.
Very expensive, and I'm speaking from personal experience. It's really hard. Like, people have... we've got a financial crisis on our hands, and people are out here...
Crisis.
But it is a crisis, and people are out bottomless brunching, which I say people, I mean me.
You.
Which is fine, but it does mean that we're spending money, really, that we don't have.
Here's the other thing, actually, Ra. I'm so glad that you mentioned this, because I've been really thinking about this.
I'm really just outing myself right now.
Yeah, you are. Basically, if we really want to boycott these systems and make it better for ourselves, we have to be really careful with where we're spending our money.
Oh, for sure.
So, I was out here the other day for 2 hours scrolling, wasn't I? On ASOS and the rest of it. Yeah. And then I just closed my tabs because why would I? Ultimately, I know that is just a small pleasure that's going to bring me momentary joy.
Yeah.
And it's actually doing a lot more harm than it is good. It's actually just me being selfish.
Wait,
No. Let me finish. Because I am. Because I was like, oh, I need a new outfit for this event and da-da-da-da-da. Like, we all have been. I know you have.
We've all done it.
We've all done it, right? And if you're doing that once, twice, okay, but if you're finding yourself constantly going back to those websites and trying to fill that void with bottomless brunches, with clothes, with this, with that, then just know you're never going to feel whole doing that.
This is so savage.
It's true.
You're selfish, you're never going to feel whole.
But it's true, because you're like, energetically, you're actually doing more harm than you are doing good.
Yeah, of course. What you're saying is right.
And we're like, we can't be like anti-capitalistic and still enable all of this stuff to happen because we're investing our hard-earned money, our underpaid money into it. Do you know
agree.
what I mean?
I know what you mean, and I agree. I just think no one is going to be able to fully boycott stuff. And like you said, I agree. It's fine to do it once, twice, and to just know when you're doing it.
Yeah.
And being careful about where you do spend your money.
Yeah.
Like, we can criticize this stuff and still be complicit because...
Oh my God, and we will be, and I'm not, like, and I will 100% be a hypocrite. Like, I'm just saying, theoretically, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Hypothetically, even... we can at least lessen our consumption.
Yeah.
And that's still going to make a massive dent.
Difference.
Yeah.
That's my point. Yeah. Is just...
like, if you're getting 3 cups of coffee a week...
yeah.
make it 1.
Yeah, and don't get it from Starbucks.
But again,
guys.
I'm saying we're putting the responsibility on each other.
That's what I mean.
But
with the
again,
selfishness, I hear you, but at the same time, is it selfish?
For me, it's selfish because I know better, and I've known better for years. It's not a new realization. It's not something I've only just realized, and now I'm trying to integrate it into my life.
Right.
I've gone through like 2-3 years of not buying any new clothes, you know, and I've fallen back into an old pattern. So I'm just having a go at myself, which is not very compassionate. But I was compassionate to myself because then I actually took a whole week off and did things that I considered self-care that I hadn't been doing for myself to nourish myself and fill myself in those ways.
And that's where
the long-term joy comes from. Yeah.
And that's what's really important to note, because it's... I mean, I'm sure we've mentioned this in another episode about self-care just being consumerism.
Yeah.
And it's really important to get back in touch with the things that actually nourish you and that aren't falling into the superficial kind of...
yeah. Category is
selfish.
Superficial. Oh, really I feel like I have to really get that off my chest.
I feel like you've literally... I feel the energy, you've just released it. I feel it on my skin.
I'm just, I've been on social media a lot recently, and I think it's because you constantly see that stuff and get exposed to it, and it is a highlight reel. We all know it.
And you know what? The other thing to remember is that so many people do this stuff purely for Instagram.
Yeah.
And no other reason. So it's
we're not
like...
talking to those people.
No, we're not talking to those people, but those
we know
people
you know
exist.
Better.
Those people exist and they're out there, and we're still being exposed to it, even if you don't want to engage. You know, it's still there. And it's about reminding yourself of that.
Yeah.
That people are flexing, and you don't have to live that way.
Yeah, I feel like everyone has this wisdom within them, and if your gut is telling you, like, I don't want to be here, I don't enjoy the company of these people, then go with that. Like, please just listen to yourself. You know best. Like, if the last year has taught you anything, is that the healthcare system, the government, and the rest of it...
and not your friends.
I don't want to be harsh.
You can be harsh, they're harsh.
No,
they're not paying me.
That's very hard. No, you're making out like you're volunteering, you're not.
What? No, I'm not.
You basically are, to be fair.
I should be getting paid more, yes or no?
Absolutely.
That's what
absolutely. No, I just think there's a partial responsibility on us and a partial responsibility on the government. And I think that if we, even to some degree, feel that partial responsibility of ourselves, we're able to apply more pressure onto the other half.
And the responsibility... I mean?
It's not solely our responsibility.
No, but the responsibility we do have is what you've just said about boycotting what we can boycott. Yeah. And not putting too much pressure on ourselves either, because that's not going to serve you in any way. And also demanding more. Yeah. I think that's fair. Yeah. I think it's fair for healthcare professionals to be like, excuse me. Yeah. 1%. That's my pay rise. It's disgusting.
It's insulting. It's actually insulting.
Yeah.
So we came up with a brand new plan for the country.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts.
I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this. On what you think needs to change, how you've been affected, if at all, how we can help, if at all, because we love to help.
Yeah, so join our cult and we'll come up with some new ways.
Don't.
Right, to end this episode, what's your song of the week?
My song of the week this week, it's been very, very sunny, is I Was Born a Winner by Freddie McGregor.
I was born a winner.
That's the one.
Yeah. That's
Very
a really
nice.
good one. Mine is Woman by Little Sims.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, lovely.
I've been enjoying.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time. And we'll catch you next week.
Yes. Bye.